Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to transform this hair into this hair. I've already shown you how to do a rainbow prism on top, so today we are going to cover a hidden rainbow prism underneath. So instead of the mohawk panel that was on top, we are going to be going underneath because my client Claudia has color underneath, not on top. She has that little bit that shatters over the top of her natural that we do not color at all. But she wants to take about 6 inches off the bottom. So I am just gonna do a little rough cut first so that we aren't wasting any product. And then after we finished, I did a more precise cut, but this is just gonna save me a little bit of time and some product because she has very long hair. And for these face frame layers, I just pull everything forward and then across to the other side and just cutting down. And that's gonna give her some really nice face framed layers. But like I said, this is just a rough cut and I'll be refining everything after. But look how much hair she has. We have not lightened this in over a year. So today I'm going to start prepping her with some water to open up that cuticle and then going in with my K18 mist. This is going to keep her hair super healthy while we go through the lightening process. I never do a blonde without my K18 mist. You'll see it and hear about it in every video. And then I just like to brush that through, and while I mix up my lightener, it dries a little and then I blow dry it through after. So next step is sectioning out all of her natural hair and her fun colored hair so that we can clip away all of that hair on top and keep it out of the way. Now, Claudia does not like to do lightening very often, obviously, so she wants to keep it a little off the scalp and have more of a lived-in look, so we are going to do Teasy lights. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the Teasy lights because I do have other videos that explain them pretty thoroughly, but I'm just going to show a few clips kind of going through her hair. But I just take a really nice thin section, hold it from the bottom so that the longest pieces are still going to be in my hand. And then when I tease up, that's all the shorter hairs that usually go all up into the tease, and then I can focus on lightening there. And I love my coup board. It's also in other videos. It helps you just get a really nice saturation and holds your section really clean. But I am just teasing up and you can see how thin my section is. You should be able to see through it. And then I just push up my board and paint that lightener onto my new growth. I always start with really low volume developer between 5 and 7 when I am starting out. I like to mix smaller bowls of lightener and then move up my developer as I go. I've said that before, but it really makes all the difference when, especially if you're doing a full head of highlights and it's going to take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through the head. It's so important to have those really low volume developers. Now, this is not going to take me 2 hours. We are only doing a little bit, but those tease sections, it makes it really easy to kind of work through the whole head pretty quickly. But yeah, I like to make nice small bowls because fresh lightener always works better. And I am just really saturating and then closing up those foils with my tri-fold. And just gonna let those process. We want to have platinum hair. And yes, we are watching Severance in the background. If you have not watched it, I highly recommend it. But look at how nice and thin that section is. That's what you want to see. And I'm taking diagonal sections also because then when it falls, it looks a little bit more natural. It's not going to be as harsh of a line as if you were to do a completely straight across section. But I'm just going to show a little bit more and then we get to move on to the next part. So I know in previous videos I have said that I would so much rather cancel out color and neutralize color before using a color remover. Now in this case, she wants to do Rainbow Prism and her ends are still really purple. So if I was to put orange or green or yellow, anything like that, it's just not going to have the color that I want. It's going to be muddy. It's not going to show. So in this case, I am going to use color remover after I pull her foils out. But right here, you can see around the front, I'm doing the same thing. She likes it off her scalp. She doesn't want anything straight to the root. She likes it to be a little bit more lived in, teased, and off the scalp. And I will just show a couple more here. And then I will show you how easy it is to take those teases out also. All right, and now we are down to our last sections over here. So I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do, but I want to get to these rainbows. I've covered Teasy lights in other videos. So we are going to speed through the rest of this, and that way you can see kind of where my placement was for her money pieces. I do these diagonal back sections and tease them up because once again, she wants it off the scalp. And now we are gonna go mix our colors. So this is my favorite part. I'm using Danger Jones as always. For her pink, she actually wanted to do kind of more of a red. I always ask people what kind of tones they want, if they want like gem tones, if they want vibrant, if they want neon. So there's a lot of different options on what they can do. But our pink is Diablo and Hustler. Our yellow is Star Rider and Raygun. Orange is Burnout and Hotwire. Green is going to be Adrenaline with a little Vertigo and a little Empire. Then we have a teal that is Vertigo and Oblivion, a blue that is going to be Solitude and a little bit of Masquerade. And then our purple was Masquerade and Hysteria. I can't believe I remembered all of that. But now I am going to open up all of her foils because I want to do the color remover before washing her out. So I'm using my bleach blender gloves to kind of wipe that lightener down. And you can see as I'm wiping it, all of those teases are coming out with the lightener. So as I'm kind of pulling down, the teases are already coming out by themselves. And then anything left over, I just get my wet brush and kind of brush the teases through. And that way we have a really nice clean section. But that is how easy it is to pull those foils. I love these bleach blender gloves for jobs like this. It just makes everything so easy and keeps it really nice and clean. And as soon as I pull all of these beautiful foils, look at that perfect lift. And it's cool because you can see the line where we lightened her. And then as soon as that teased hair starts coming down, you can see just how smoothed out it is and how blended it looks, and it's not as harsh of a line anymore. But this is the Danger Jones color remover. I am just going to put it through the ends. I only used a 5 volume developer with this because we don't need much. And I am just going to let that sit on her ends and try to get out as much color as possible so that we can do our rainbow. And I'm just trying to get it on as fast as I can in really big sections because, like I said, it works really quick. So I want everything to process together. And I'm really big, like I said, on not using color remover if I don't have to. I don't like over processing my guests. Her hair did still feel great. The Danger Jones color remover is awesome. But yeah, this is my B3 Brazilian Bond Builder. I'm adding into the color, and that is going to help with the color longevity and the strength of her hair. Once again, constantly adding everything I can to keep my client's hair healthy. So first of all, she wants to do purple money pieces. So we are going to start her rainbow a little bit farther back. And the reason that I didn't do her money pieces first is I didn't want that purple just smashing into her face while we paint the rainbow. So we're doing this first. But I'm taking my mesh sheet, and I always like to ask my clients what color they want to see first. So her answer was purple. And then after that, I ask her, do you want me to go purple red or do you want me to go purple blue? So I always like to make sure that my clients know exactly what colors they're going to see right in the front by their face, how it's going to look. And so, of course, since she has purple money pieces we're going to do, she wanted to start with purple and then go into the red. But I took a straight vertical section down, and you kind of hold it sideways when you first start painting, which you'll see again. And now I'm just taking all of my little rainbow panels and following that Roy G. Biv pattern. I decided to use a teal and a blue, which I will do from time to time. I think it really makes a nice blend. But we are just going to take another vertical section. You want it to be really thin, and you have to hold your panel sideways, and then you have to place the hair super carefully down onto your rainbow. This part can definitely get a little annoying when you're first starting out, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, I promise you. And about every 2 sections is going to be one color that you're starting with, and then we are going to change the color as we go back. So once again, I did purple first, then we're coming down into red. And I am just going to paint my little panels on the way down while I have my red brush in my hand. And of course, I'm just gonna rush through that because you get the idea, following that Roy G. Biv pattern and placing it directly on top of each one. Then after every couple sections, I like to use my fingers to kind of rub and massage the colors together. That's gonna make sure we don't have any harsh lines, and it's gonna be a really nice blend. Perfect. And now we are taking another super fine section, straight vertical down, and then pulling it across. I like to use my comb to kind of flatten it down and make sure that it's exactly how I want. And then I'll kind of smash it in with my fingers a little bit. And now it is perfectly on there. So we are gonna move to our next color, which would be the true blue. So that blue is gonna go behind the purple now. And we are still following that pattern. So now I'm going to do all of my little blue pieces. And then of course, painting the purple directly on top of the purple and all of my purple pieces. I think you get the idea, but I will just let you watch me do these colors and make our way through this rainbow. Painting my light blue, and then we're gonna take another super small section. And like I said, you really want to kind of hold that sideways and make sure you're placing it real nice. Use your comb if you need to. You should be able to see through the section. Yes, it definitely can take a while, especially when you're starting out, but it is so worth it. And it's so important that you keep your sections really clean. So this was the second section that I took, starting with the darker blue. So this will be my last one that I start with blue. And then on the next vertical panel, I'll be moving to the teal. So I hope that makes sense. I am going to have other angles, so you'll be able to see the side and back of her head and what it looks like. But I am just going to show you each little section painting. Now this one, we are going to pull it across, hold your mesh sideways, and super carefully place that down. She's got really long hair, so obviously the longer the hair, the more difficult it is to get it perfect. But you really, really want to try to get it perfect, because you're not going to have that perfect rainbow prism if the application or the hair is sloppy. So very, very important that you are very clean with your sections and when you place it down. And just getting these last colors on this one, rubbing it in so we get that nice blend. I do not want any harsh lines in my rainbow. Now when you get to the ear, this is when I like to add another mesh sheet on, because you don't want to be pulling that hair behind your client's ear and just like painting on top of their ear. So I like to get that other piece of mesh, paint it, put it over the ear, and then pull that forward and just try to follow that same pattern. So I'm going to start with the teal, and then I'm going to my true blue. And once again, I just have those vertical sections. It gets a little difficult when you have that clean mesh sheet because it doesn't really stick onto it. So you have to be super careful. And we are going to our purple, and just try really hard when you put that new mesh sheet on to follow the exact same pattern. And then when you get down here where you're connecting with your old one, the colors should match up perfectly. And we'll just show the end of this section. Get my green. Oh, I love rainbow hair. No matter how many times I do it, it looks so cool every time. All right, we've got our nice clean section, really nice and thin, holding it out sideways when I paint those first panels. And now we have moved on to green. So I started with a green section, then we moved into our teal, next to our true blue, and then our purple. I think you guys get the idea. The most important thing is to keep your sections the same size, especially since we are going to be repeating this pattern on the other side of her head. We want everything to match up in the middle so that it makes a perfect V, because that is how we want the rainbow prism to be. If we aren't doing it exactly the same, then it's not going to match up underneath her head. But I will finish this off. Now you can kind of see the back. We have our vertical section, starting with the green, going all the way from top to bottom of the section. Next up, we have our teal, and I'm holding out that section sideways still. Painting my blue. So yeah, you can see once you kind of get the hang of it, it's super simple. I think when people see these rainbow prism designs and they try to figure out like how you painted it perfectly in that diagonal pattern, when in reality, you're just taking these vertical sections and pulling it forward, putting them on top of each other. It's super simple. And you don't have to complicate these colors as much as some people think you do. But now I am going to take this one. We are almost there. Smooth that section down really nice. We've got one more green section. This is our second green. And then you know what comes after that. We've got teal. And look at how perfect everything is lining up. And with her hair, I'm going to be ending on yellow. So the very last section that we do when I reach the middle back of her head is going to be yellow, which means when I do the other side, I want to end on yellow also. So like I said, it's super important that every section you're taking is the exact same size. You're keeping your rainbow bands the same size, your double sections of each color going back through the head the same size. Repetition, clean sections is so, so important when you're doing rainbow prisms. And just like when we did the one on top and it was on the mohawk panel, everything pulled forward and then we got that cool diagonal. Same thing here. Whenever you're pulling something forward, that means you want it to look like it's cascading back when you're done. But we are down to our last two sections. We are going to start with yellow, doing my straight vertical section down. And then you know what comes after that. We're gonna touch up our little rainbow bands and make sure the hair is stuck in there. Get our green, and it already looks so cool. I just love watching it back. Next up, we have our teal. And yeah, I hope this makes sense. If you guys have any questions, please leave me a comment and I will answer any questions that I see. And oh yeah, holding it nice and tight out to the side when you do these pieces. That is so important, like I said. And then hitting my purple. And I like kind of going through and doing that sideways brush to blend things. I feel like that really helps a lot sometimes. And we have our very last section. So you know the drill. We are doing our second yellow start, which means, like I said, we want to finish on yellow with the next side. And I've got a really good angle that I'll be able to show you guys on the other side also. So make sure you stick around for that. But I am just going to finish this one up. I'll kind of speed through it for you guys since I feel like you probably get the idea now. We went yellow, green, teal, true blue. Next up will be violet. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you get the idea by now. Going through and tapping all of those purple panels. It's so much easier to just go through also when you're already holding the color brush that you need instead of doing it all over again. Sometimes when I am doing my first vertical panels that are sideways, I'll just get through those ones first because it's really hard to hold the hair sideways in the beginning. But other than that, pretty simple. We did it. That side is done. Now I repeated it on the other side. Once again, I separated her money pieces where those will be purple. And again, not doing them yet because I don't want to be just smashing purple money pieces into her face while we paint these rainbows. But I'm taking those really thin sections, pushing them down, and then my vertical panels. Same exact pattern on the other side. Started with purple and went into red, which means the panel after purple was the true blue. But yeah, I feel like you guys probably get the idea. It's super simple once you have your color pattern, and you don't have to do all rainbow colors. You could just pick like 3 or 4 colors. You could do neon rainbows, you can do vivid rainbows, you can do pastel rainbows. There's so many options. She really wanted to do like a vivid gem tone one, so that's why this is kind of a darker rainbow. But now you get a really good view of those vertical sections in the back of the head. Painting our true blue on. And then you can see how I'm placing it down at that side angle, pulling it straight forward. We've got our purple. And gonna just kind of glue that hair down with my little purple band, going into red. Look at how cool that looks. Move to our orange, yellow. And then we really only have a little bit more, and you can already see that I am prepared to end on yellow, just like on the other side. So that is always very exciting. Even sometimes when you think that you're doing good and it's the same size, there's nothing worse than getting to the back and going, oh my gosh, like I didn't end on the same color. So just try to be really careful with that. But you can see we have our yellow section that we are finishing on. It's going to be that straight vertical line moving into our green, And yeah, super simple, guys. Just take those vertical sections, hold it straight out in front of the face and follow that pattern, and you just cannot go wrong. As long as you're keeping your sections clean and really holding that hair nice and taut and placing it down exactly where it's going to fall. It is so important. I cannot stress that enough. You cannot be sloppy with this application. This has to be perfect in order to get the result that you want. But we are almost done here. Just gonna paint on my last few bands and wait till you guys see how amazing this looks. After we finish these, then I just have to paint the purple on her money pieces. And I am using the exact same purple that I was already using. So I just mixed up a slightly bigger bowl of that color than the others. And we are down to our last one. Oh, technically last two. We have teal and then our true blue. And then we are done. We did it. So cool. And now I'm going to go through and mash those colors in. Make sure they're really nice and blended because we do not want harsh lines. And you don't have to worry about the color kind of getting all over the other colors. That just doesn't happen. It self-encapsulates once it goes on there. So you don't have to worry when you're mashing it in about like mixing the blue into the yellow or anything like that. They're going to stay. And we are just painting on her purple and we are almost there. I'm so excited to show you guys. So after I washed her out with ice cold water, now we are adding our K18 leave-in mask. That one I like to brush through after, and then it has to sit for 4 minutes, and that is going to help repair her hair after all of our processing we did today. And just combing that mask through. Oh, I can already see the rainbows. Looks so cool. And yes, I just like to really make sure that I brush that K18 in. Oh, look how cool that rainbow looks. Next up, I'm using the new K18 Astro Lift Volume Spray. I love this one. It's super lightweight. It doesn't have like a thick feel to it after like some volume sprays do. Then this is the Leaf and Flower 7-minute blowout and frizz remedy spray. Those are going to help speed up dry time, give some heat protection, and help reduce frizz. Look at that rainbow. It's so cool. And wait till you see it curled. Here we go. Here is our after. Absolutely gorgeous. I love how it just goes in that perfect V down the back. Absolutely beautiful. And then when you lift this up, you can see that both of our two sides perfectly connected. That is why it's so important to take those even sections. Same colors, even sections, and they will connect perfectly in that V in the back. Look at how beautiful. Can you believe that's all her hair? And here she is with her big smile. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.